Welcome to the Vector Garden. In some recent videos, I have talked about rounding corners using the round corners effect. And I think I've mentioned that is not an ideal solution and it can cause a lot of issues. In this video, we're going to talk about more methods of rounding corners, and also I'm going to explain in which situations round corners effect is not ideal. First of all, why do we need effects at all? Because when you select something, then you can go to the direct selection tool and you see we've got all those widgets and we can just use them. Or if you want a more precise approach, then you can also go in here and enter the radius and then go ahead with that. So why do we need effects? Using the corner widget is depending on your use of a tool, and that cannot be automated. Effects have their advantages when it comes to automation, and then you can build graphic styles and use them over and over, and that's also nice. And effects are nice because you can edit the results. So if you're undecided, then you can first take a look and then change it easily. Let's take a look at our options. Let's first apply a round corners effect to these shapes and then see what we get. So I'm going to Effect, Stylize, and round the corners like this. And there we have the preview, and we're going to OK. And you see, this doesn't look at all like the preview. We've got a lot of issues here and there, and these are not just issues with the GPU preview, they are real issues. So let's go to the preview on CPU and you see there's no change at all, so we've got a problem here. Let's go to the GPU again. So let's undo that and let's see what we can do with it and how we can solve this. The next thing we can do is use an effect by Astute Graphics. So let's go to Effect, Vector Scribe, and AG Corners, and you see it rounds the corners as well and it leaves the shapes alone. So let's just go to OK, but it only rounds some of the corners, not all of them. So let's undo that and let's see how this can be solved. Now, it can be solved when we first take a look at the direct selection tool, then we see all the anchor points, and you see there aren't a lot of anchor points in this. This is pretty optimized, so we could take away these as well and then have it really clean, but that's part of the problem. So let's go to Object, Path, and then let's add some points. So we've got add anchor points here, and it adds points in the middle of those path segments, and then we have some more points. And then let's do it again. Let's go to Effect, Stylize, round the corners. And you see, well, it's not ideal, but it's getting better in some places. So we've got more rounded corners. This is a little less. And if we add more points, we get better results. So let's undo this. And also let's go to Effect, Vector Scribe, and see what AG Corners now does. And you see we get more rounded corners here as well, which is nice, but I'm also kind of wondering about that. So let's cancel this here and let's add some more points. So I'm going to add some more anchor points to this. You see, we've got more. And then let's round those again. Let's go to Stylize and round the corners again. And you see it's getting better and better. We get better results each time. Let's undo this. And I'm going to the history. I want to undo all these adding of anchor points here as well. So we've got the clean shapes from the beginning. Now let's take a look at our other options. And if you want to add anchor points, but do not want to add actual anchor points, then you have another option. So we can go to Effect, Distort and Transform, and let's go to Roughen. And now you would see, well, how would that help? Well, it does help when you reduce the size. So now we have added anchor points, but haven't added actual anchor points. I'm going to reduce the details and then let's go to OK. And you see, nothing has happened to this. So how does that help? We're going to make a duplicate And then let's go to Object, Expand Appearance. And you see, this is actually adding anchor points. Let's delete this here and again go to this one and let's open the Appearance panel. And there we have roughen. So let's go to Effect, Stylize, and round the corners like this. So we have roughen first and then round corners. But as you have seen, when expanding this appearance, then they are rather dense. And when the anchor points are getting too close to the corner, then we cannot round those corners. So let's go into roughen and let's reduce this so we get fewer points like this. Then you see we get more rounded corners and also these swirls are looking okay. So that is one of the options we have in order to improve the outcome of the round corners effect. So let's undo this and let's get rid of that. We've got one other option. There is a script that can round any corner. I'm going to put a link to that script into the description. So let's just run it like this, and I'm going to increase the radius and let's go to the preview, and you see it rounds all of those corners, and also the rounded corners are not getting as huge as they got when I used that widget. So I'm going to increase that once again and let's go to OK, and you see we've got all those nice rounded corners, and we can also automate that because scripts can be included into actions or into other scripts. So while it is not dynamic or easily editable, at least it can be automated.